Assalamu alaikum. I'm here today at the Hagia Sophia Grand Masjid in Istanbul, and it's a spiritual journey for me for several reasons. Firstly, to visit this great historical site since its reconversion into a mosque, but also it's the 12th year since my Shahada, the day in which I became a Muslim, and alhamdulillah I've been a happy one ever since. Since it's been over a decade since my journey brought me towards Islam, I thought now was the perfect opportunity to film a video explaining my journey to the religion of peace, as it's probably the most regular question that I get asked by brothers and sisters once they find out, alhamdulillah, I am a Muslim. So I've been a Muslim for over 10 years now, and obviously one of the most often questions that are asked by brothers and sisters is, what brought you towards Islam? I was about 16, 17 at the time when I accepted Islam as the one true religion, and many people are surprised because it's quite a young age for someone to make such an important, massive decision. I originally come from a typical English background. My family would have been considered agnostic, but they came from a Church of England tradition originally. But obviously religion in England, particularly the Church of England, is not very strong anymore and is known to be quite a failing, dying religion in many ways, and most English people, I don't think, would consider themselves to be religious at all. And if they are, then it would only be a minor part of their lifestyle. Growing up, obviously, I felt that there was like a gap in my soul. There was a missing piece of my puzzle, my life puzzle, and I was always religious. I always believed in God, but of course I didn't particularly practice religion other than an occasional solitary prayer, and put my faith in God to provide for me and make things go well in my future. But day to day my lifestyle was very typical, and I felt as if there was something missing from my lifestyle as a result. When I reached the age to go to secondary school, I began mixing and mingling with different groups of people from different backgrounds. That's when I first started to meet with Muslims. I had friends from Lebanon, I made friends from Mauritius, which came from an Indian Muslim background originally, and from there I began to see how they lived their lives, and why during Ramadan, for example, fasting was very important to them whilst I'd still be eating and drinking. They would take breaks during lessons or during the break period to go off and pray while everyone else was playing football outside. So obviously I began to wonder, why are my friends doing this stuff? Why are they leaving us, leaving a fun game of football, not eating during Ramadan, praying, fasting, all this type of stuff, reading the Quran. They were studying Arabic as well, classes which I weren't involved in. And that's when I began to ask them, where are you going, bro? What's going on? Why are you doing this? Why do Muslims do that? And slowly over the years I began to learn more and more about Islam, and I began to realize something quite amazing, that everything Muslims do is for the benefit of themselves, either spiritually, physically or mentally. Everything that Islam teaches has a benefit to it. Obviously it wasn't long before I was introduced to the Quran as an inquisitive individual who loved to learn about cultures and religion. Once you ask a brother about Islam, it's not very long before they start to talk about the Quran, the miracles of the Quran, and why the Quran is so important. And it was at this point which I think my life really began to change, because obviously the Quran and Arabic, Quranic Arabic, is a beautiful language. So when I began to listen to the Quran, it began to open up a whole new world to me. It fascinated me. I absolutely just loved to listen to it. It's a beautiful, beautiful language. And then I began to learn about the miracles of the Quran, the miracles of the Prophet of Islam, Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, and all the amazing things that he brought to humanity, how he transformed the Middle East and liberated an oppressed, subjugated people, and that his message was not just for the Arabs, it was for the whole of humanity, and that Islam, how it spread, how the miracles of the Quran converted so many people so quickly, and the fact that the Quran offers gifts, wisdoms and gems that we can use in today's life as well. So many of the messages of the Quran we can use and can learn from. It also teaches you how to live a humble, modest but healthy and productive lifestyle, and how to build a beautiful society. And I think that when I began to learn, you know, the miracle that is the Quran, I began to really understand, okay, not only do I have a belief system which works and is practical, which the Muslims adhere to, but there is actually proof that God exists. The Quran is literally unquestionable proof, in my view, that God and greater power does exist in this universe, and we are a creation of the Creator, which is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So eventually the day came where I decided, you know what, I feel like a Muslim, I love Islam, I love the message that Islam teaches. I decided, okay, do you know what, I want to become a Muslim. Again, I was about 16, 17 at the time, so it was a big decision, but I knew it was the right one for me. I told my family, I got my mum involved, she came to my shahada. She admitted that she was a bit nervous at first, because obviously this was post 9/11. She didn't quite know the people I was with and who were teaching me Islam and why I was doing it. But alhamdulillah, once she came, once she met my friends, she saw how Islam made me a better person and improved my life, alhamdulillah. She then realized and has been happy ever since. Of course, this is just a very small piece of the full story. I could talk on this for probably a number of hours about my love for Islam, what brought me to Islam. But the short answer I can give you is that I've been Muslim for 12 years now. I'm very happy that I'm Muslim. It's a huge part of my life. I identify as a Muslim probably more than I identify as being English or British. And my life has gotten better and better as I've learned more and more about the religion and how to practice it and how to be a better Muslim, and to bring me closer towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and Deen and Islam. So of course, if you have any further questions, do please post them. This should be among one of my first YouTube videos on my new YouTube profile, and I'm also going to post it on Facebook and a small intro to it on Twitter as well. So please check out my new YouTube channel, ask me any questions you have, and if you are interested to hear a longer version of my journey to Islam and how I've been doing over the past few years, then please do let me know, and inshallah I will make a more in-depth version and perhaps answer some of your questions in that video as well. Thank you very much for tuning in, and inshallah I'll be bringing you more reaction from my journey here in Turkey, Istanbul.